Welcome back. Now, there have been a lot of questions circulating around the increase in rent prices, and here to tell us more about it is Mr. Mohammad Yahya from Dubai Land Department. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So there has been a lot of spark around the whole situation. Can you please clarify what is happening?
No, currently we've seen a tremendous increase in the number of contracts, and the demand is quite high. I mean, it went from about 500,000 registered contracts all the way to over 760,000 in the year 2022. Some specific areas have more advantage, I would say, on those. But again, some of the people are worried that the prices are still going higher. The landlords are, we're not talking about all the landlords. Some of the landlords are, let's say, abusing their ability and the ignorance in some of the tenants about the law and what are their rights. So these are the main issues that we're facing. And we want to explain to the tenants that price increases are governed, of course, by 3 different decrees. One is the Law 27 of 2007, one is Law 33 for 2008, and the last and final one is 43 for the year 2013.
So what are these decrees?
These are the decrees that governs the relationship between the landlord and the tenant. So everyone has rights, everyone has obligations. The obligation, let's say the tenant, you stay in a villa, and you're currently paying 100,000. The current market price is about 180,000. So the landlord sends you a notice telling you that your rent is going to be 180,000. He cannot do that. Again, because the law says you have to have 90 days notice. That's number one, prior to the expiration of the contract. Second thing, it has to be within the approved limits. I mean, he cannot tell you need to pay this much, first of all, unless he has a documentation from the Dubai Land Department, either by the index, the rental index that is published on our website and on the application, or by a valuation for his specific unit. Given that as well, he cannot increase more than 20%. There is a specific calculation, different segments. You can increase 5% if you are within less than 10 to 20% of the average in the area. You can increase 10% of your rent if you are within 20 to 30, and then 30 to 40, and then anything above 40% in terms of difference between your current rent and the market rent, you can pay 20%. So worst case scenario is he's eligible to increase the rent by 20%.
Okay.
So 20% is the highest that it can go?
It's the highest that it can go.
So now, okay, so last year everyone saw rent increasing, and everyone had the question, okay, so what's going to happen next year? Is rent going to increase? Is it going to decrease? So what is the, verdict on that?
We look at the now. Let's look at it globally. There was a report by UBS published for the real estate index in 2022. It's about 25 major cities of the world. You're talking about New York, Tokyo, London, Paris, Dubai, Sao Paulo. Only 4 cities were ranked as fairly priced. Dubai was one of them. It was Dubai, Warsaw, Milan, and Sao Paulo only. And you have different categories: overpriced, and then you have bubble. Bubble is the worst, of course. So we're talking about the current trends, or let's say the current market is for it's well priced in terms of the global concept. Looking at the speculation or what's going to happen in the next year, our speculation, it should stabilize. You had a big spike that came in 2022. This is due to a lot of factors that the government and the leadership have created during this time, and it attracted a lot of investors, a lot of people who came and actually bought properties to have the residency over here. The
golden visa.
Yeah, the golden visa, exactly. Okay. So we have a lot of people who bought. We have a lot of people who opened businesses. It's the first time we've seen the prices, or let's say the rents for commercial units increase in more than 11 years. We haven't seen that.
Wow.
Because again, there is a demand. People want to come and operate in Dubai as well. They open branches in Dubai as well. So these are the main factors. Now 2022 might be an exceptional year. Even if you look at the numbers, the performance of the Dubai Land Department, the total value of the real estate transactions last year was over $500 billion. This was a number that we have never reached.
That's
in the history of Dubai. So again, we're talking about 2022 as an exceptional year. We look at the rents this year, hopefully to more stabilizing, because there are more projects that are coming. On the other hand, there is always a place for every budget. So you don't need to worry about specific areas. Some areas went extremely high in terms of rent. However, if you go and look into different areas, let's say in Nahda, it's very well priced. I know it's not the palm. However, it's still it's affordable. You have Ras Al Khor, very affordable. You have two different spectrums and all the in between as well.
So can landlords increase the price every year? Can they increase rent every year, or is it bi-yearly? How does it work?
It's yearly. If he is allowed to increase, again, he would be increasing within those segments, and it can be annually, yes.
Okay, because a lot of people say that it's a bi-yearly thing. Only every 2 years can they increase. The reduction can happen whenever, but if you are to increase the price, increase the rent, it is going to happen only every second year. So you're saying that's not true?
No, that was probably in 2008, and this was changed at that time. The increase can happen and can occur annually.
So for the tenant and the landlord, it's not black and white, right? It never is. There's so many implications that go into it as well.
Yes.
If I want to protect myself as a tenant, what do I do and where do I go?
See, a lot of landlords are fair when it comes to rents and dealing with their tenants, and a lot of tenants are fair as well. But a lot of tenants took advantage of what happened in 2020 with the COVID, and they went into the reduction, and they signed the new contracts much lower, and took some landlords, again, ignorance, or let's say the level of knowledge for landlords, they naively agreed on certain terms, and they said, okay, let's help people. They reduced it, and they got stuck at the low prices. So it's by the way, it works for both ways. You have the good and bad in every way. But I would recommend always to consult with us, the land department. I mean, we have our social media accounts that are available for everyone.
So can people just directly DM their question? You guys will reply exactly.
We do that. we answer our Twitter and our Instagram almost every single day.
Okay.
We do have inquiries that comes to us, and we do respond to that.
Oh, amazing.
So if you have any doubts, if any of the viewers have doubts, they can always reach out to us. I mean, on our social media, we're there, and we would give them proper guidance on how to do it.
So right now we'll try to clear out as many doubts as UAE residents possibly have, specifically Dubai residents. But now I want to ask you about check bounces. Now a lot of times checks bounce because of maybe signature or something or the other, and landlords impose heavy penalties. Now is that something that you can ask to be pardoned, or no? Like a check bounce penalty is a given, like you have to pay that.
These are if this is an agreed upon let's say condition in the contract, it means you have agreed on it. If anything or any charges that are not in your existing contract, you are not obliged to pay, and you can totally deny paying those charges. But I know that majority of the tenancy contracts involves a clause that protects them on bounce checks, because again, administratively it does cost the management company or the landlord some funds. A lot of them prices it fairly. They would go from 200 to 500. Some of them goes to extremes. But again, if it's there in the contract and you agreed on it, it should be imposed.
Okay, and if it's not on the contract, then the tenant has no right to pay the check bounce penalty.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And one thing we were talking about, the eviction of the tenants. Some landlord would just call the tenant, tell him I'm moving in 2 months. Please vacate the premises. And I want to explain to you the process first of all. You have the personal use. Evicting for personal use. Of course, there's another type of eviction which is by force from the authorities because it's an unsafe building or property. In the case of personal use, the landlord should give the tenant a 12 months notice, okay, and not by phone, not by email. It has to be either by registered mail or the notary public. And he has to use the property for himself or for a first degree relative to stay over there. And in some cases, the judge would say you need to prove that you do not have a similar residence in Dubai for you to stay in.
Okay.
So it's there are restrictions. And if now we are working towards flagging any of the properties that are being evicted for personal use, these are going to be flagged, and these are going to be the landlord will be unable to do ijari on those properties. Again,
I'm not understanding the situation. So you're saying if I have bought a property, right, and I've given it out for lease, like if I'm renting out the property.
Yes.
Now, if I ask them you need to vacate the premises, I need to move into my apartment now. You're saying there are rules against that, and that if I want to do that, I'll have to go through the court and then give them a legal notice, as well as the court needs to ensure that I don't have another residency that I'm staying at. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Not through the courts. Normally, if it goes to court, you have to prove that you do not have a different residence that is vacant that you can move into. That's one. The second thing, it has to be 12 months notice by notary public or the registered mail.
A whole year's notice.
A whole year's notice. Again, the law was taking into consideration the stability of a family. If a family and children are there, they have schools, they have their social life around them. They need some time to adjust.
Okay, so this is on this. The laws are always on the side of the tenant, right?
Not really.
No, not really.
It's fair.
You hear tenants complaining all the time now.
Yeah, that's for both the sides.
We're trying to create this balance as much as possible. Yes.
Okay.
So if I am having my ijari for a bunch of properties, like on me, for example, for me and my friends who have just moved into the countries, is that something that I can legally do as well? Can I have multiple ijaris under my name?
You can have up to 4 under your name, or you can beyond 4. You would have to prove that you need more units. You have more wives, let's say. But generally no. The limit is 4 because we've seen some people with extremely low income that rents out like 10 properties and goes and sublets a lot of things in certain areas that are not allowing subletting, creating an issue. So this is why it's limited to 4.
So you predicted this year that rents will stabilize.
Yes, towards the end of 2023, we're again, this is a speculation. We're looking at stabilization in terms of rents. A lot of landlords, by the way, are okay. They would increase a fair value on the rent, but however, they want to retain their good tenants. They have a good relation with you, and they would say it's fine that I'm not going to increase 5, 6, or 7,000 more as long as I have someone that I trust in my property. A lot of landlords are
so always be on your best behavior and keep good relations with your landlord. So 2 questions for you now. When can we expect rent reductions? Which year? Any speculations on that or forecasts on that? And number 2, now if a tenant wants to dispute their rent increment, who do they go to, and do they go to the Dubai Land Department? Is that something that will be considered, seeing their financial situation or anything?
The rent reduction, again, if the landlord has the right to increase rent, we would always recommend for mutual agreement, because the courts would see that it's within the rights of the landlord to increase the rent from this much to this much. I know sometimes it does stress some tenants financially. Again, some landlords do take that into consideration, but we cannot deny the landlord his rights as well. And if there is an issue or a dispute, there is always the rental dispute center that look into those issues. They resolve these issues. They can, in some cases that we've seen, and especially in commercial units, they actually reduce rents.
Okay.
Because let's say those businesses were not, they were operating under losses. And some of the times they broke some contracts, 5 or 6 year contracts. They told the landlord, or there was a ruling that this tenant cannot continue having these losses, so we are cutting it out without those penalties.
Oh, wow.
Again, yes, some of the judges look into that, but it's more inclined towards businesses rather than residential.
So it is a case by case. It's not like a one shoe fits all situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And also, there's a corporate tax that's going to be introduced very shortly. Is that going to affect the market in any way?
Residential market, no, because even the VAT is not applicable for any residential unit. I mean, anything that's rented for residential purposes is not affected by that. With company tax, I'm not sure about how it is going to happen. If companies own properties, are they going to pay 9% on the properties or not? I think it's not going to be applicable, because a lot of families created holding companies to own the properties, again for different financial and management purposes.
Now there are lots of not rumors, like what is the conjecture about, like Russian expats come, like an influx of Russian expats, influx of Chinese investors in the cities. So hence, like the rent prices go up. Is there any truth to that? Is that the reason why rents are hiking?
No, the rents are hiking because of the extreme high demands. I mean, we do see.
Do the high demands come from these expats and investors?
Not only them. It does. I'm not saying there aren't. We do have high-paying Russian tenants. We have high-paying Chinese tenants. But again, the spike did not come only from 2 nationalities. We do see. We've seen a lot of English people, British. We've seen French. We've seen Germans. Again, we're talking about 370,000 extra contracts last year alone, which is a very big number.
Okay.
So it's not specific to a certain nationality. It is a general thing. Probably they see Dubai as a safe haven. It's safe. It's very appealing, and a lot enjoy living here.
And also, would you say in the long run, is it better renting a home, or is it like better buying a home and just mortgage and all of that, like in the long run?
If you can afford it, definitely buy one.
Buying one you would recommend?
If you can afford it, yes, of course.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I can. I still have to figure that out. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mohammad.
Thank you for having me.
It's been such a pleasure. Thanks for clearing up all our misconceptions. Guys, that is it from us. We'll be back with you, same time, same place next week. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.